All right, so today you wanted to talk about the movie that we saw yesterday.
Sure, yeah, that was amazing.
So yesterday yesterday we watched a movie called Burning, which is a Korean film from 2018, and it's based off of a short story by
Haruki Murakami.
Yes, I'm always gonna mess up that name unless I have it in front of me.
Yeah, it's an Japanese author. He's like this cult author.
He's pretty well known, yeah.
Yeah, and he wrote Kafka on the Shore, IQ 85, and now I think he's gaining popularity. And it's very bizarre because the way how he writes is just pretty much like fantasy. He has a lot of like Kafka elements. It's very much based on fiction versus reality, but then he's very postmodern in a way, I would say. And the same goes for the movie, I think, because it plays with different realities, with different like layers of the narration. So how did you like it? I mean, you never read Murakami before?
I have. I can't remember what the name was. It wasn't the one where the girl
Now Could Smile.
It was some years ago, so I don't remember the name, but I borrowed it from a friend, and yeah, I read it. It had something to do with like a brothel house, and then it was like about the people who work there.
I think so, yeah. I read this one too, but I forgot the name. I think in German it's Ausnahmezustand. It's like, I don't know. Anyways, the movie subverts so many expectations. I think that's what made it. Do you want to give like a short synopsis for it, or?
I'm just trying to think of where to start. So it starts with the main character named Jong-soo. He is, what do you call it? Like his father owns a farm or something like that.
Yeah, he's more from the countryside.
I guess the most important things, yeah, he's like your countryside boy, and he comes across an old classmate of his who he doesn't actually remember, but she clearly likes him, and Hemi, and she's trying to like ask him out on dates and stuff like that. And she tells him that she goes on a trip. She's going to go on a trip to Africa, so she needs him to feed her cat and things like that. And I don't know like how much I should give away.
I think you can like because like there is no clear interpretation of it anyway. So
yeah.
I think you can even like give some ideas about like there are no spoilers here.
We'll just say it's a spoiler show. If you want to watch this movie, then listen to this after you've watched the movie.
Yeah, maybe better that way.
She kind of. Yeah, she goes on this trip to Africa, and while she's away, she gets him to feed her cat, who he never actually sees, but he knows the name. It's like Boyu
or something?
Something like that. And he hasn't seen the cat, but he knows that it's there because the cat's eating the food, drinking the water, and then like pooping in the kitty litter box. And when she comes back, she introduces him to like this best friend that she's met while she was there, and he is this very
Ben.
His name's Ben, and he's this very like charismatic, attractive, rich.
At first,
he is. What do you mean?
Yeah, that there are some scenes where he says, "Yeah, I think he says, yeah, I'm not like." I never cried. Like one of the first conversations, like I think they want to make clear that he has less emotions. Like he's kind
a
of like
sociopath.
Yeah.
But he's still those are typical like characteristics of a sociopath. Like somebody who's very charismatic, who's very charming and things like that. But yeah, so she meets him, and I don't know. I think Jong-soo feels like he's kind of been forgotten, and it seems that she's more or less moved on to this guy, but she still invites him to their hangouts. And
yes, like that was also cool to see he lives in this Gangnam, which is like in South Korea, if you know, remember the Gangnam style, like that is like in Seoul, it's like the rich quarter where all these, I don't know, rich people have fancy homes and fancy kitchens, and then he cooks, and then they have like, or he goes to the gym, and that was cool to see how in Seoul that goes, like this really like elite society.
Yeah. So yeah, after they had been hanging out and stuff, one day Hae-mi, she just disappears. She never returns any of Jong-soo's calls, and as far as Jong-soo and Ben know, like she just kind of disappeared from the face of the earth. And in the meantime, during one of their hangouts, Ben admitted to Jong-soo that he has this kind of strange hobby, which is arson. And he says,
Pyromaniac.
Yeah, and he says that every couple of months he'll burn like an abandoned greenhouse.
Greenhouse, yeah.
And he said that he's planning on doing one somewhere nearby. And this kind of sends Jong-soo on this pursuit to try to find which greenhouse he ends up burning, but he never seems to find it. And in the meantime, when he's asking Ben about it, Ben is very like, what did he say about it? He was...
Yeah, he says he didn't look closely, but it's still not clear what really happened, right? I mean... Yeah.
Meanwhile, a new girl is in Ben's life who... yeah, she's like another like cute, pretty girl and stuff like that.
They're all like cute, and
yeah.
But you don't know what her background is. Someone like all the characters are very. I think the performance is amazing, but you don't even like know anything about their personal background so much. I would say
those are just characters, but I think Jong-soo starts to slowly. He has always been suspicious of Ben, and one day when the three of them, Jong-soo, Ben, and Hae-mi, were hanging out at Ben's place, Jong-soo went to the bathroom and he kind of was like snooping around, and he found these belongings, these jewelry, like a
and box of
makeup.
Yeah.
And that was a bit strange, but he kind of just like, whatever. And then later on, when Hae-mi goes missing, he finds a watch that she would have had, which is this very cheap, like, I don't know.
It's like very Casio, or it's like, I don't know.
Dollar store watch or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was something that Hae-mi wore. And he starts to get suspicious of Ben, and in regards to Hae-mi's disappearance, and he tries to go to Hae-mi's apartment, and Hae-mi is not answering her door. She's changed the code to get into her apartment, and he finally gets permission from her neighbor to get in, and it seems that her entire bedroom has been organized in a way that's not characteristic of her. And the excuse that he gave to the neighbor was that he had to feed the cat because otherwise the cat would starve. But the cat, like, the feeding bowl and the feeding bowl and the drinking bowl and the kitty litter, they were all gone. So there was really no sign that there was a cat there. And I think maybe
and Ben, he had a new cat I
was getting to that.
Okay, sorry.
But also, he also tried to see if Hae-mi's suitcase was there, but the suitcase was already gone. And then later on, I'm jumping back and forth here, but later on he visits Ben at his apartment, his new house, and Ben has a new cat, and he asks what the name is, and Ben doesn't have a name for the cat. But when his new friend comes over, this other cute girl, the cat runs away, and they have to get the cat back. Jong-soo sees the cat and he calls it by the name that Amy gave her cat, which is
Puyu.
Boyu or something like that. And the cat comes to him. And just based on... Oh, we also forgot to mention that Ben has been stalking... I mean, Jong-soo has been stalking Ben ever since Haemi's disappearance. So he would park outside of his house and wait for Ben to drive out, and then he would follow him. So I think Jong-soo was very suspicious of Ben, that he, I don't know, we never find out what happens, but Jong-soo believes that Ben either kidnapped or killed Haemi, and
and the whole title burning. I mean, we won't reveal the end, but there is a connection to that. But then
I think we can reveal the end, because at this point you've already
okay.
Because the end happens in like 2 minutes.
Okay. So they are there, Young-soo, he's tracking him down, he follows him, he finds that he has some weird behavior, and then he meets him in this restaurant, and then they make up and they have a meetup somewhere, and then he basically stabs him, and then he burns his super expensive Porsche and Porsche, right? Porsche. And that's the end of burning. But the thing is, you never know what the actual encounter is. It just the imagination of the characters? What about the cat? Is it the cat from Haemi, for instance? So there's a lot of stuff unclear, and it keeps spinning, and the performances of the actors are so amazing. It's abstract, but it's so dense, right? There are basically just 3 actors, and they manage to. It's a movie for it takes some time to develop, but I think what was cool is to make this like a short story. The director, I forgot his name, Lee Shang-dong, and he's supposed to be one of the most talented directors right now, and I'm definitely going to watch more of his movies. And the way I think what was interesting to me was how he displays South Korea as this very they repeatedly said South Korea is not a society for women, for instance. It seems to be so harsh. Also, what happened to Haemi? Did she get killed by Ben, by this psychopath? She's struggling with money. She could be one of these girls that are just trying to show up. You don't even know if she took the trip to Africa, one of the theories. And I think the way how they show, it's kind of like a dissection of the South Korean society, and that how hard it is there. And then one of the most amazing scenes, this triangle, love triangle, they smoke pot together, and then they dance outside, and Haemi gets naked, and then from the other side you hear the North Korea propaganda. It seems like this is the free society. She gets offered stuff, she's dancing, they smoke pot, they have money, and then on the other side is North Korea. You hear through the megaphones, whatever they're blasting through the area, you can hear whatever they are saying. It's so contradictory to their behavior in the situation. And I like these movies when they have a certain social political aspect to it.
I think that you hear the North Korean propaganda playing on the other side, I think that was a really interesting detail. I actually didn't think about the contrast between their behaviors and how it's different from North Korea's culture. But that's a good point. but I know it was it was difficult for me because we were watching the movie and it was dubbed in German.
It was, yeah.
So I wasn't sure if I was missing details because I didn't understand something or if it was purposely left out. And I think afterwards I found that like a lot of things were purposely left out, but I missed some things like
what?
how Jong-soo, he admitted to Ben that he loved Hae-mi, so that one I understood.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't, and then I didn't hear or maybe understand that he was shaming her for going topless and like dancing.
Yeah, he
and
said
stuff.
it to her.
So
Yeah.
it was
He-
like,
there
I
was
love
a very
her.
short scene. He said it to her. Like only horrors do that. Also, like he gave this line. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was like going back to, he was like trying to find people because Hae-mi told him the story about how she fell into a well and
Oh yeah.
and Jong-soo rescued
yeah.
her. But he doesn't remember this, and he's asking his dad. Did he? Or who was he talking to? He was asking. No, he asked his mom.
His mom. Yeah.
If that happened, and he was asking like he found Hae-mi's family, and he asked them that as well. And what did they say about it?
They come back and they say there is a well, but they never heard about the story, and so it could be true. I think that is. Yeah, the main theme of it, like the play of the different realities again. Like you have the well, you've got the cat, never appearing cat, and what else? Like then this motif of burning that is very. It's very. When you think about it, it's such a strong motif. Like he's burning his car, and in the end, he's burning him. It's kind of like he's burning the whole story in the end. Like. Is it true? Like, is there, or is it just left from fiction? I think that is one of these things you have to find out yourself, right?
Yeah, like how much can we trust our characters and
or our imagination? Like we had this lost. Did we talk about this lost in the mall experiment? Where you don't know if your memories are true, and she's telling the story about the well, but then I think she also says something about like she always had like a vivid imagination or something like that. So you don't know if Hae-mi, the female protagonist, if how much she seems to be like somebody like a really lovable character with like an amazing appearance. But she's also very like she's struggling for money. Maybe she's making up stories. Then she wants to be with this rich guy Ben, and so you don't know if she was doing stuff just to allure him or so.
Yeah, then like it's kind of like why out of nowhere was she suddenly hitting on like Jong-soo? It was like
yeah, that was actually
like because he didn't even recognize her. So what if they didn't even? Oh no, but her family knew him, right? Her family knew Jong-soo.
Yeah, they knew him, yeah.
So they did actually know each other.
Yeah, but it starts because what also we didn't mention that might be an interesting fact because Jong-soo is a writer. Like he is an aspiring writer. He meets his father. His father is, they say like he's a hot-headed guy. He's always like also this burning motif. He's out of nowhere he can explode, and then this is why he went to jail, and he did something and he didn't want to apologize, and he has to go to jail. But you also don't know what's like. He wants to be a writer, and that could also be a contribution to this theory that everything in the movie is about like fictionalization of the characters, because he mentions two authors. I remember Faulkner and I forgot the other one. Fitzgerald, yeah, The Great Gatsby, yeah. Like Ben is like this Great Gatsby show-off guy, and so that
they even mentioned the Great Gatsby several times.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and Faulkner, he's like the quintessential author for this like play or fiction, because you don't know who's telling, like one of the pre-postmodern writers, like all the different layers of stories coming together. Then all of a sudden there's a change of perspective. So when I think about it now, that makes sense. Making him all like mentioning Faulkner in this way in this story also mirrors like the whole the whole story, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like this clear, like, you can also just see it as a portray of the South Korean society where men have to be very, like, they have to go to the army. I knew some Koreans from the US, and they were on this exchange, and I think they all have to go to the army for 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the society is very, like, I think South Korea is a country that is still dealing a lot with this story of the Korean War in the 50s and like the separation.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a very torn country between these two systems, maybe. So that one, you can just see it as a very interesting reflection on the society and the position, or these traditional positioning between men and women, and how also between countryside and this Gangnam, I don't know how to, Gangnam world of like the super rich people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that movie was food for thought, I would say.
What, did you like it?
I really liked it. Yep. I think first I thought it is a bit slow. It takes some time, but now I keep thinking, like, the performance is just very like slow pace, taking time. You actually don't know so much about the characters, but the performances are just amazing. So
Yeah, it doesn't really follow that same format as a lot of movies, where a lot of movies really try to give you that feeling of, this is like, it's a complete ending. You're like, this is what happened. Like at the end, it ends with Jung-soo after he has stabbed Ben and burned the car, and he's driving away. But you're left with this feeling of like, did he actually do the right thing in terms of like, was he right in doing it? Like, were his assumptions right? Is Ben actually a serial killer who murders all these girls?
Yeah.
Because maybe all the jewelry that's in the bathroom are trophies that he keeps from all these women.
Yeah, it could have been just like she gave him the watch or something like that.
Yeah, because then again, why would you put your trophies in a guest bathroom?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really weird. So there is a lot of doubt that the viewer has, where you're not really sure if the right thing happened, and if Jung-soo is actually the good guy because he's stalking Ben, and then he kills someone, and yeah. So I think it would be interesting to see what it's like from like Ben's point of view, because maybe Ben is just a normal guy who maybe has troubles empathizing with people, but like
a normal guy who's just burning down the...
No, but what if he's like, what if he's not actually, like, maybe he just like said it.
Maybe, yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of mistrust in the point of view of a lot of people. You don't know who's telling the truth, and at the end you never know. And because he's already killed Ben, he'll never find out if, like, he'll never find the truth. He's only basing it on what his like 3 clues are: the cat, that the fact that Haimy's suitcase is still in her apartment, and finding her bracelet, and those are the only clues that he has.
Yeah, but I think a good movie can do this balancing act of giving you, like, you have to make up your own decision anyways, but it's just so much that even now when we start talking, like, there's so much stuff that's popping up again, and I think it's an indication for a very good movie. It leaves you, like, it reminded me a bit of like David Lynch, Twin Peaks maybe also. It has some mystery elements. It also, in the beginning, like, the characters are so, like, you are like, you're drawn into it, but you don't really know why. I think that always happens to me when like Young Soo is this kind of loser guy. He wants to be a writer, but still is I got so interested in finding out, but until the end I don't know anything about him. Like I just know he's from the countryside and some small details, but he like the dialogues are also very condensed, very like there's no word too much in terms of how they talk and how whatever they are talking about, and it's just very like I think it's more like a chamber play or a small theater play, like based on really getting to know the characters and their motifs without like showing too straight in your face how what their intentions are, and like revenge, and maybe he is also like, because Yong-soo he sees Ben as this, he's like this pickup guy because he's rich, he has a Porsche, he doesn't have any troubles, and then I think he's also like retaliating for like him being in this like poverty and without like having any perspective.
I'm just trying to look up what play it was that I watched. It's now a movie, but it's because you're saying that it's kind of like a play, and that's true. I think there are a lot of elements that are also used in plays. I can't remember the name. Basically, it's about two sets of parents, and they are meeting because one kid hit the other kid. And they're trying to just come up with like a solution, and it becomes this whole doubt. Like they start to like at first it starts very courteous, and it slowly becomes this huge like they all unwind and they all become like they start screaming at each other. Kate Winslet stars in and Jodie Foster stars in the movie version of it
because of the kid.
But because first they're just like, okay, so we have my kid hit your kid.
And then, I know it. That, wait. I know. Wait. Christoph Waltz.
Yep.
They are in the new park, like in the park, and then they meet also like rich people, like.
But it all
richer.
takes place in one. It all takes place.
God of War.
No.
No.
That's the game.
That's a game. Carnage.
Carnage, yes.
Carnage, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
God of Carnage.
God of Carnage?
I don't know.
It is a play, actually.
I watched it.
Yasmina Reza. Yeah, sorry, you mentioned. But this is I like the movie more than the play, though.
Really? I didn't watch the movie, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Or did I? No, I don't. Maybe I did.
Carnage was it's so fresh because of the performances, I think, and that's when like you feel like they are like brilliant actors, like they're giving you their heart and soul in the performance and showing what they can show, like a small part of how our life can become just from a small incident. Or
for me it was interesting because they're basing it off of just like the kids aren't even there, so they're all basing this huge argument that they have, judging the other parents without actually knowing what happened. And I think that's similar to what happened with Burning, where there's this huge tension built up on things that you're not totally sure of. You have some information, but there's still so much unsaid. So
it's cool. Like they sprinkle here and there some like information snippets, but then your brain does the rest of the work. It keeps like spinning on like the motives, intentions, what could have happened, and it starts with this like small encounter. Like that is maybe a good parallel to Carnage, because the Carnage it's like this children fight over I don't know what it was, and here it's like this small encounter where Yong-soo meets Haemi, and that like the small encounter, them meeting up in the big city of Seoul, changes the whole lives, like from all of them, right? So that's how the movie develops, and that's definitely one movie to watch.
Mm-hmm. I never heard of this movie before we went to go see it.
Oh, now you know it.
Well, like, where did you hear about it?
I think I read an article. I'd sometimes read the newspaper and then I found it. And what I've remember, they said that it's one of the few occasions where all critics really love the movie. So I'm already okay. Usually movies are very like there's much controversy about all the movies, if it's a masterpiece or not. But here it seems that it was on the Cannes Festival, and then they also had this review from critics where it has the highest critics rating ever so far. And yeah, so I thought, okay, maybe that is the next movie to watch. And that is very unusual. And then I read a bit about, like, because I know some other South Korean directors that are like Kim Ki-duk. He does some cool movies, and I think they have a very, I don't know what it is, like South Korea as a country, it seems very like interesting to me right now. It's just like how I imagine it now watching these movies. Would you like to go there or
to Korea?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would want to. I want to visit Japan and Korea at some point.
Oh yeah, Japan would be cool, and Korea. You can combine it. Murakami, Japanese author, and now we have the good Korean directors.
One thing
and
that
the food. Imagine getting some really fresh kimchi.
I don't know what I'll be able to eat, but we'll see. Anyways, one thing that I thought was really cool, because I watched a few interviews with Steven Yeun.
Steven Yeun, yeah.
Who plays Ben. He's an American, he's a Korean American, so he's American born and raised, or maybe I'm not sure where he was born, but he's American, and you've seen him in The Walking Dead, and now he is playing a Korean guy. And in the interview he's said in a few interviews, it was interesting because he said it was nice that I was able to be a character in a movie and not have that be questioned as to why, because I find that with a lot of American movies and media, when you have an Asian character, it's usually like often they're specifically described in the cast role or the cast call or whatever.
Okay.
Or like there often has to be like an explanation, like why do you have an Asian character? Why do you have a black character or a Hispanic character? Whereas when he was in this Korean film, he was able to just be Korean and not have to explain why he looks the way he does.
Oh, yeah. And
he was like, I hope that this is what it will be like for America in the future. And I think that was really cool. Like, for example, like I can't think of any celebrity, like people say like they have like a celebrity doppelganger. Like I don't have one because I don't know enough. I don't know enough like Filipino or like Asian actors who well, at least in American media. I don't watch Filipino media.
Was that always a problem to find a role model, or like because I mean still most movies, TV shows, they have, when you think about like the top ones, they are mainly white, I would say. Or
yeah, and then like I think it's recently that they're trying to make more like Asian shows, for example. So like a show that's about an Asian family in America. Those are becoming more popular. But yeah, it wasn't, I never really thought of it because you're kind of just growing up with it. But for example, like it would be if I were to be an actor in Hollywood, you can't just cast me as a family member, because what if the rest of the family is white? And then you have to explain why you have an Asian person in the family. Things like that.
Yeah, but I also think that the majority of Americans still is white. So, and also the generation of the screenwriters, they are a bit older usually. So I think that...
Depends.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it's definitely the case that it's, yeah, the main heroes. But I don't think you have. I think with this quota, I'm never a big fan of it. I would like to have one show where the main character is, let's say, like we have Walter White, Frank Underwood, or like, I don't know, the guy from Walking Dead, or all these shows have still like very white characters. But I think just give me one major, like Steve Young playing like the main character in one of these shows. I think then nobody would question, like, is there a quota even needed, or I don't know, like, or a Latin American character playing like the main lead in one of these like top shows, like, or Donnie Draper or something like that.
Yeah, I know that. Well, you have the movie Crazy Rich Asians, which was really something that was targeting towards that. There's a Canadian show. I think it's Canadian, but I can't remember the name. I know that in the 90s and late 80s, I think there's also this movement. So you have like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, for example, things like that. And in cartoons, you have the Proud Family, which is where it is about like a black family. You have shows like, I don't know if it was on purpose, but you have shows like That's So Raven, where she's the main character. But I think, yeah, there is some progress, but there is some room for improvement still, I think.
I think mainly it's yeah, they could make it better. But I just, like, for me, I just enjoy when the show is just like good writing. I think should, like, what these characters are so universal that they don't need a quota. That's my purpose. Like a show that's where you don't question about like what is going on or why is he there. It's just like the theme, like in Burning, like the theme you wouldn't question. It's why, like, it's just a Korean movie, but why, like, the story is just great. Like the acting, the whole story, and I think it's the highest you can get would be to have a character that is so unique and that can be like a picture or a symbol for a lot of other people. Then this is good art. Are you watching the show Chernobyl, right?
I'm not watching it. You're the one who's watching it.
I watched the first one, but you have a very interesting method.
Yeah, so Chernobyl is an HBO series. It's a mini-series. We don't have HBO. So I've just been watching YouTube clips where they'll show maybe 5 minutes, like, of a scene. And yeah, I think in general, I have an idea of what happens.
You have a new method now. You don't have to watch the whole of it.
Yeah, it would be nice to watch the series, but I also don't have a lot of time. Like, there's so many series that I need to watch, and I just haven't put time into it. But Chernobyl, yeah, it's a really good show. Really tense. Yeah,
like the cinematography is just. What do you like? You told me about the sound editing.
Oh yeah. So like a common technique that people use in sound engineering for scary movies is often used. But they'll play this high frequency noise, and it's something that people might not consciously notice, but it is irritating, and you're not sure why you're irritated by something, but you'll experience that when you're watching the scene. And I believe somebody went to an actual power plant and was recording sounds from power plants, and they were playing those in the background. So whenever there was a moment where none of the characters were speaking, there was still this sound of something going on. So the power plant, and it adds to the tension of like what's currently happening in the scene. And it's just very I didn't know much about what radiation does to you. Like, I knew that if you were exposed to radiation, then you you're more likely to get cancer and things like that.
Lymphomas,
But like I didn't know what happened if you get like the
highest, like the
yeah,
becquerel.
if you were there and you were there for like present, and it was a very eye-opening. And yeah, I was watching this at 4 a.m. in the morning. But it's pretty gruesome.
Yeah, I've watched like the first episode or the first two, I think. And
What happens in the first 2 episodes?
Basically, it's like, for me, they're just showing like the incident and how much of the Soviet system was trying to cover it. Because I think one of the main problems with Chernobyl was also that right now everybody knows it's like the most, they've got like a scale, and the scale of this incident was like the highest. So there, it's only Chernobyl, I think.
Scale of what?
Severity of like a nuclear accident, and
in terms of like Röntgen, or
in terms of how the environment is affected by it.
Okay.
So there were some nuclear disasters, but I think only Chernobyl and then Fukushima were on this high scale. Anyways, but the main idea that also I talked with my Russian friends about it, and that was interesting because they knew how the Soviet Union worked, like from their parents, for instance, and then like they show how they are trying to cover up like the whole machinery of it cannot happen, like it just cannot happen.
Did you see the scene where they're trying to clear the roof?
Is it in this? I don't know.
I don't know what episode it is, so I don't want to go further.
I don't know.
Okay, then maybe you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it. We might watch it together. Then we can talk about it. Chernobyl seems also such an interesting TV show. I totally like the standard of the editing, and the performances are all amazing, and they show how the Soviet Union was and how you get a feel. I think that's the main thing. You get a feeling of how it was back in the days, and then
I had to
it's like Burning gets you a feeling, or you get in the mood of being in South Korea, and here you even go into the past and experience how it was in the Soviet Union.
Yeah. When I was learning about Chernobyl, I was like, I don't even know how nuclear plants work. So I was like watching a bunch of YouTube videos about how they work.
Like a nuclear reactor. That's cool. I mean, that's such a good takeaway. Then you watch it and then you get interested in how a nuclear plant works.
Like, I don't understand completely how it works, but I have a general Gesundheit.
Dankeschön.
But yeah, I don't understand why people would want to go on trips to visit these sites. Like, I know some of them are kind of safe, but like,
I think I'm also interested in these abandoned places, but Chernobyl, I think I would also be too scared.
Especially because like the risk of getting cancer from it.
Yeah, I think it's still there, but they put this sarcophag, this concrete thing now on top of it. So,
but there's still radiation.
There is, yeah. I mean, you can probably still like in the surroundings there will be for the next. I don't know how long is like the times it gets
like
to
100 years.
100 years, at least, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, Chernobyl and Fukushima are different in that Chernobyl was like this explosion, whereas Fukushima was something where the radiation seeped into the ground, so all the plants and. But with Chernobyl, is that also the problem? I can't remember.
Yeah, there was.
Or was it mostly airborne?
I think the main problem was like with wind, and that it was like. I think they could have if they reacted earlier, they could have contained. They could have prevented more damage to people at least, and also to the environment. That's what I mean. Like the system was so like harsh in keeping it secret, and then some winds blew a lot of the radiation through the area. But yeah, I think it's
Yeah, the thing with the propaganda was that the government was lying about how bad how bad the situation was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that had a lot of very negative consequences. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we keep you updated with the Chernobyl. That's a cool show. Interesting. You learn something.
Are we going to keep them updated?
Sure.
Okay.
Then
I'm going to bed because
yeah, we're both tired.
my eyes are half open, half closed.
Yeah, no, it's 10. No, almost 11. Then any more
Nope.
ideas? Nothing?
I do have
Straight to
ideas,
bed.
but I don't want to spoil them for you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.